The dangers of raw foods. My name is Skye and this is Kiko, and we do the Ups and Downs podcast. We like to talk on topics of, everything isn't always smooth sailing for people. And I think a lot of people on the raw food diet see influencers and think we have it all down pat and know what we're doing. And Kiko and I want to bring to light some of the realities and lessons we've learned, clients have learned, we've seen people learn. So yeah, hey Kiko.
Hello. Hi, Skye. Thanks for inviting me again. I'm so excited for this topic. We have so much to share on this.
We do. If you don't know us, Kiko has been high raw for 20 years. I saved my life with raw food 4 years ago. Like I was completely bedridden or in hospital. And Kiko's had many ups and downs, hence the name. So, I mean, at 20 years, you're going to have ups and downs, right?
Yeah, it's and this topic is so important to share. And as Skye has mentioned, I have been on high raw vegan for over 20 years. And in the beginning of my journey, when I was living in New York City, there was a hype of raw vegan. There were few raw vegan restaurants popping up in New York City, and it was quite an exciting time to be a raw vegan. But at the same time, it was, black and white. I mean, clear black and white. And, it was, if you eat something non-raw vegan, you are doomed. And it was quite severe, and you are not part of this raw vegan community. And then, this is like after over 20 years, like Skye hosted this European raw party, and which I joined, and it was amazing. It's not everyone's is fully raw vegan, but we all love this raw vegan diet, lifestyle. And I feel like the community is a lot more accepting now. So yeah, I love where we are in raw vegan community right now.
Yeah. Look, the one thing that stands true is if somebody says to me, what saved your life? I actually don't often say raw food. If I get asked, like, what's that one thing that saved your life? It's love. I
Mm,
found love. And Olivia, when I interviewed her yesterday, amazing interview. She was such an inspiration to me when I healed myself, is she keeps bringing it back to love, and that the raw food allows a person to see self-love.
mm,
And that's so important. But I spoke to her also about how we can latch onto food because it's that first, I think, step we take where the body starts transforming and we start feeling good. So we think it's all about food. But it's
mm,
so much more than that. We want to get up and feel good. And then we've got another 40 years, 60 years of life. And what does
mm,
life look like? And I was just saying to you off camera is, look, I've done fruit only fasts. I've done juice fasts. But when I look at who I am on them, I am actually escaping the work. So when I sit in a space of my everyday raw diet, like what is the reality of how I can eat and survive on this earth for the next 40 years? I can't live off juice. But every time something goes wrong, I would go, I need to have
mm,
juice. And I knew I was doing it, but I didn't know how to get out of this cycle. And I've been there with grapes because there's been a period I felt well on grapes. But in that moment, I'm not thinking you can, like, it's not sustainable to live off grapes. And that's the same as a drug addict, is in the moment you think that's amazing, but the reality is, can you stay in that, on that drug, whatever that thing that made you feel good is, forever? And the answer is no. And I think what's really important is that the most work I've done on myself and had to sit with myself and learn who I am and who I'll be in this reality called Earth is when I work on my routine of every day. So the get up, the make my one juice, I do my podcast, I do my clients, I will go to Pilates, I will then have
mm,
food for lunch. Like that routine I can do for the next 40 years. I can't
mm.
only eat grapes and survive. I can't
Yeah,
only eat fruit. I can't only eat juice. And that is a really important space, I think, to get to.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
like where this, yeah.
Yeah, this so danger of raw food diet to this topic was something important because in this community, most from everyone I have met through this community, majority of people started doing raw vegan diet because they were suffering with this very severe sickness or some suffering that they were going through. So they started this diet as a way of detox or um, um, remove that pain or sickness they were encountering, and that's one. And we can't be on this detox mode all the time. And as as you were saying, Skye, that the routine, everyday's routine and what you eat is sustainable for the rest of the year, not the watermelon juice or water fast or whatever that extreme detox mode. I do think that helps some people, but I also think that people who goes on that detox mode or detox protocols, that's not sustainable. They just kind of balance, off balance, and they tend to eat something like highly processed food or burgers, and yeah, I've seen that around me all the time, and including me.
Yeah, if I want to gift somebody the gift of like how you find life, it's balance. And in this society, we walk outside and everything's out of balance. So, as I said, is me doing my work every day of what is sustainable for the next 40 years is important. Now, that doesn't mean that just say you plan to do a 7-day reset where you like do just a fruits or you lighten the load for a while. But if you don't know what diet you're going back to, or you're doing it because you've got a problem, and when I say that is sometimes there's a difference between coming into this and needing to heal something very acute and you're forced into eating a very set way for a period of time. But you do need to shift into something that is sustainable. And I think there's a huge fear around that. There's even a fear around feeling comfortable. When I first went raw, I was eating, I couldn't get on computers and read what I was doing. And I was eating all this food, which was making me feel loved, supported. I felt great. I didn't have any of what you call detox symptoms. And I was coming off 32 years of being sick, so many medications, hospitals. I didn't feel great at the start, but I'm feeling lighter and better and better. And I kept feeling love. I kept feeling so much love. And then I got into the community and I was just so shocked that I was supposed to have been sick my whole life and now force myself through something very uncomfortable, as in like you're supposed to go really light and you're supposed to eat just watermelon or just juice or just apples or just something. And I felt fear again. I was actually at the start, I was mind blown. I was like we've all been tortured this whole time, forcing our bodies through doctors and through all these things which the body didn't want. How does that change to force it again? We need to connect to our bodies. And anything we do where we have to force our body through something, I think is not right. So I think there's a difference where you get a craving and you're having, to force yourself through, you're doing some sort of cleanse, versus you're living your everyday lifestyle and you get a craving. How do you manage that in your lifestyle? Because this craving might come up again. Just say you like chocolate and you need to manage your chocolate cravings. Something like my 4-ingredient, donut is chocolate. It's healthy, it's sustainable for the next 40 years. You're better doing that than buying something processed. But every time you have a craving, punishing yourself and doing something lighter. And I will say, as a coach, the hardest clients to actually heal are the ones who have detoxed themselves to almost death. So I would rather have a client who comes to me with a severe illness, because the body just naturally lets go of that. But when people have gone really far, coming back from that is not there's actually not many words. It's actually scary.
Yeah, I think that's why Chris Kendall came up with his book, right? And debunking some of the myth in raw vegan community. And yeah, it's sad because the purpose is that they're trying to do the best they can to detox whatever the sickness they have, and they work so hard, but at the end they ended up damaging their microbiome, and it's so difficult to redo or rebuild your microbiome.
Yeah, it definitely is. Look, if you have a mindset of I need to get rid of this, part of me is not right, part of me's got to go, part of me is broken, part of me is stuck, what do you think happens? This isn't right, I'm not right, I need to go more. You will break yourself. The hard part is you need to sit in a space of love. This is nourishing me and building me and giving me and loving me and helping me and feeling me. And I can feel it. I'm already feeling better. And with every mouthful, instead of you're stripping yourself, you're loving yourself. The transformation is incredible. But once again, I do understand that people go on like for short periods. They just want to let go, or you might not want to eat for a couple of days. That's kind of like an animal thing. I mean, you just go on and on like you're a broken soul, and now you need to strip away where we're all perfect. What the universe is here for is to love us. Like, we're here to love. We're not here to punish ourselves.
This might be a good time for you to share about your histamine issues that you had. You said that when you did the grape juice fasting, after that you developed some issues.
Yeah. So on my journey, the best I have done and felt and loved myself has been where I've been more disconnected from the media and done what my body wanted. The more I get into kind of following things, thinking I need to fix myself, I haven't done so well. So I really got into like the watermelon, grapes, and then watermelon. I started to notice as soon as I was doing a lot of watermelon, I started to get, for the first time, instead of having skin, which was literally perfect, I thought it was perfect for a 42-year-old at the time, I started to get like what you call liver spots all over my body. Anything of like that, and people are like, well, that will come out. No, it doesn't leave. And it was like what I was doing was too light for the reality I wanted to live. And I was getting stomach cramps, but I kept going. The more watermelon I had, the more I couldn't digest salads. So they stopped. And then at night, I'm just having cucumber and zucchini. And then I'm thinking, oh, I have to now just live off watermelon, but feeling in such lack, as in like, but I want to do this and I want to do that. And I don't want to be here, but then not being able to digest what I wanted to do. And then the more I did, stomach cramps, just like really bad melon belly, but you can feel quite enlightened as well. But I don't know, I just didn't feel complete, like as a whole person, a whole picture. Then I got shingles, and then I couldn't digest, after I had shingles, I couldn't digest anything, could barely digest watermelon or grapes. And that's when I was forced into juice. Now, I never juiced. I didn't even have a juicer 3 years into it because juicing just made me really sick. I always felt best with the whole foods, but I couldn't stand up without juice. But mind you, 8 months later, my iron was at 0.8. And I think what had happened by the time I got shingles is, and I'd done a lot of fruit and no greens anymore, is my iron, I don't have the part of my stomach which absorbs iron. This had all tanked out. So I think I was surviving for probably about 5 months with iron that's decreasing and not being built because of hydration. If you've ever had a severe anemia and someone's given you a saline infusion, like a liquid infusion, you'll find you will come to a lot of what's going on in the body can be rectified by fluids. So I've had really low hemoglobin, and they've given, which has been really low, and I've needed blood transfusions. Why they're finding me blood, they'll give you fluids and you can sit up and move again. I literally think I was drinking liters and liters and liters, and then every time I ate, I couldn't get up again. And I literally think it was just a lot to do with I got too much into the fruits, and it's my own fault. I take full responsibility, but I feel like I was trying to be something which wasn't myself. And then I really struggled to get off the juice because basically after doing it that much, even when I was off what I juiced for 46 days, tried to eat and kept going to 80 because it didn't work. But then last year I basically juiced all day and one meal at night. And it wasn't even like I was digesting that meal. It was like the liquid was flushing it through. You have that much liquid, you don't need a microbiome, you don't need your intestines. You just like the liquid is just flushing it through. But I didn't know how to get off it. And I'm knowing I'm in it, but every time I eat, I feel so terrible. And so it's taken a lot of work, but I've kept following the foods my body craves, and it gives me more confidence, and I love my life the more I can get back to it. And I was just saying to you offline, I'm basically back on the diet I healed myself on, which was I've got my hormone replacement in, very little sugar, and I'll talk on that in a second. It's basically veggies, greens, like cucumbers, green apples, there's berries, not even too much berries at the moment, and nuts and seeds. And if I want to have sweet fruit, and maybe this is because I'm missing my stomach, I cannot eat any fats. And if I don't eat any fats, my brain and my nerves are like really shaky. So at the moment, I'm happy. This is how I healed myself. The exact diet that healed me, I'm on now. Maybe a little higher in omega-3s. I'm very conscious of that. But even some days I don't eat omega-3s, but I kind of swing back. But I'm going with it.
You're also adding green juice every day. You weren't doing that
True,
before.
I wasn't doing that. That's very true. But I was in fact, a lot of the times I was like randomly going to the local shop and getting a green juice. But we're not talking a liter here. We're talking like just a cup of juice. So I don't really count that.
Yeah.
But
And
you're
so
right.
you were
You are
saying,
right.
okay, so you do think that histamine issues
Oh,
that
the
actually
histamine
came
issue.
up because of the watermelon fast.
Yes. So I didn't have histamine issues most of the time. I was raw until I got into the sweet fruits. And after getting high into the watermelon and that shingles, even before the shingles, I was starting to get these histamine issues. And I was like unregulated. I was getting pot symptoms again. I was swelling. So I'd eat just watermelon, but my kidneys couldn't flush out half the water. I was literally holding on to water. All these symptoms were coming back. And then after shingles, the histamines were through the roof. In fact, the more I juiced to fix the histamines, it would fix it, but then it was causing it. It was like a double-edged sword. And now when I have like the veggies, nuts and seeds and high in omega-3, with the green juice, I don't really have any histamine issues. So I feel like I stopped listening to my body, and it was really easy when I couldn't read or follow what anyone else is doing, and I've been disconnected for 2 years. But now I am on the media, reading, looking at YouTube all the time, and I don't realize, but I get myself caught up in what everyone else is doing, what I should be doing.
Right. Yeah. So that's interesting because I've also I've gone through quite a few detox. I've done water fast, juice feast fast. I've done, so in over 20 years, I've done so many. And I remember every time I've done the detox, these fasting, I cannot digest food like I used to. And I do think this water fast or juice feast fast, it could work with people, but yeah, I might do it again, but this relates very closely to danger of raw food diet, meaning you have to be 100% clean to be able to stop this detox mode, which is very dangerous, right? Like we see this in the community, like, I'm still going, I'm still detoxing, and then when they're stretching so much, then they would have a very strong need to eat burger or something that they have this huge cravings that they cannot yeah, they just go back and forth. They say, oh, okay, I can do the detox, so I'll eat out. I'll eat I'll eat out for like a week, then I'll go back to detox mode. And I've seen that over and over in this community. And that's one of the reasons I stopped eating in a restaurant, even though, I try to get the raw vegan meals in a restaurant. It's almost impossible. They always end up adding something that I wasn't expecting. And this is just me, it just for me it works better to know what I eat. I want to create by myself, so I know the ingredients. But getting back to the title of danger of raw food diet, it's, when we this connects back to the interview with Olivia, that Skye did, and choose raw food as act of love, not as detox mode, because food alone is not, it's not enough. There are so many other things in our life. What Skye was mentioning about doing Pilates, going for running and swimming, and all of that is so important. And it is true when you go on this raw food diet journey, the the first impact is so strong, and
Yeah.
I've gone through that. I feel like, okay, this is it. I don't have to do anything. I didn't do any exercise, and I ended up losing like 10 kilo, no, 7 kilo in 1 week. That's like 15 pounds, more than 15
Wow.
pounds. And I wasn't trying to lose weight. And I felt so light, and I felt so good. My eczema was, um, I had sleepless night because of the eczema. And when I started doing this raw vegan diet, it was just like immediate relief. And
Yeah.
when you have that immediate relief, you feel like, yeah, this is it. Diet is the most important thing in this whole world. And you forget that you have to choose that this is coming from self-love.
I think when you first start this diet, anyone who's just getting on this diet, food is the most important. When you
Mm,
first start, because you don't have the power a lot of the time to, if you can start stressing yourself out, but if you see the food as the gateway, and you only enter the gateway at the beginning,
mm,
after that you're through the gate and you've got sunshine, nature, walking, health, uh, for me Pilates, running, uh,
mm.
connecting with people. But when you first enter, um, sorry, it's so windy here. I don't know if you can hear, there's like banging against the windows. Oh my God, this is crazy. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God, I've lost my train of thought. If you can think that you only really walk through that gateway once, you don't have to keep hanging around the gateway.
Yeah.
And I think we tend to have such a big impact when we first go raw, when we first walk through, and we're like, it's given us health. And then when something goes wrong, we run back to the gateway and think we did something wrong. But truly, there is so much value in when something goes wrong. Just like when I coach, ask a person, what are you craving? What feelings are coming up? Is it
Mm,
a feeling that's connected to the food? Are you
mm,
needing to work through something? And that emotion will leave if you continue to look after yourself and work through what it was connected to from your past. You don't have to run off and quickly do a juice cleanse and think
yeah.
you're going to flush it out. More than likely, you're using it as an escape. If my brain, every time something comes up, goes, I'm going to do a cleanse, it's an escape. If I have to sit with a feeling and emotion and live my life, I'm doing it at a higher frequency. It flushes through much faster, but the processing has to occur. You can't escape it, is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to get at. And every time I've I've done I will tell you what there is value in. Anytime I've done like a short fruit cleanse, um, for just a couple of days to lighten the load, that has helped. But if I try push on thing, it's just like my body is just like, Skye, this is not what I signed up for. Are you here to strip yourself, or are you here to love yourself? And I have to choose
Mm,
love. Love does not have pain for me. Those two, no. Like it's like, if you start associating loving yourself and stripping yourself with pain, you'll attract a
mm,
relationship that brings you pain. You'll attract exercise and you fall over, brings you pain. You have
mm,
to do in life what you want. And that is love. Just keep choosing love. Like, even if some days it's a bowl. I remember, here's an example. I stopped drinking. My liver was failing. My bladder was blood was coming out. I was going through a lot right when I first went raw. And I had only been raw probably like 2.5, 3 weeks. And I really was having a day of struggle. And I still, at the start, this is all new, I'm not completely sure what raw is, just knowing that the foods of higher vibration, like the bright carrots and purple cabbage and mangoes, they're the good ones that are good for me. And I remember not knowing what to do. And all I did was I didn't punish myself. I was so proud of myself. I got a tin of lentils and I slightly warmed them up with some salt and pepper, and I ate them and I put myself to bed. And I don't see that as a bad thing. I see that as an act of self-love to comfort me, where I'd been having obviously a lot of fresher food. And I don't eat.
Was it what? Tin of what?
Lentils?
Okay.
Yeah, just like, so they're obviously, but I didn't even know if they were raw or not. My hunch said I felt better with other foods. But if you need to comfort yourself with some sweet potato, we're not talking about punishing yourself with things that harm you, but things that usually you wouldn't find as optimal, but you need to just, today it's just a bit of a comfort. I believe, and my interpretation is, if you're proud of yourself, honor yourself, like pat yourself on the back for having sweet potato and not ordering Chinese food. I noticed when I made these decisions, like having tinned lentils, is I made better decisions afterwards because I was proud of myself. I was happy with myself. I look what you can do, Skye. You can get through hard days. And it cheered me on to make better decisions in the future. If I had gone, you're bad, you didn't do it, now you've got to have something else, I'm just sitting in this, what makes me feel horrible about myself. Like I feel, even saying these words makes me feel bad.
Yeah, and you know, as you were speaking, I was thinking about the podcast with Olivia, and one of the messages I really loved, that passion. You know, use your passion as a god or guide, and that was such a beautiful statement. You know, use your passion as your god or your guide. That's you know, instead of punishing yourself, oh, you know, because you didn't do this, you're getting this, so you have to go through this, you know, hard time going through. And maybe I share a story about my ex. So my ex, before, this was my boyfriend before my husband, and he was vegan for a long period of time, and he was shifting to raw vegan. And he was a maniac in a way, that he was very disciplined person on what, you know, as a nutrition wise, like he knew what he should be eating. So you know, I stayed with him for 6 weeks in Hawaii, where he was living, and he was very, very, you know, conscious on what we should be buying for throughout the day, you know, on this organic farmers market in Honolulu. And the green juice was like very much, you know, everything was in protocol, and you know, what he was eating was optimal for sure. But I think he stopped listening to his body. He was just going with nutritional base, which is important. But what I saw in him was, he was just always scared. You know, he wasn't doing it to, you know, oh, look how beautiful this is. You know, this is, it's not, it wasn't out of self-love, but it was, he probably wasn't realizing it, but it looked more like a self-punishment because he wasn't feeling good. He had to do more of green juice, and if he missed it, he was so nervous, you know. And yeah, I mean, he was such a sweet guy. And this is a bit of a heavy topic, and it's very personal, but I broke up with him because, you know, with someone being on this, you know, he's always so scared, and I felt like my energy was drained when I was with him. So I had to leave him. And I think within a year, I heard from the community that he ended up passing away. because of cancer. But it's, you know, this story, I don't know what happened because I was not with him for that, one whole entire year, and I know that he was having an operation, but his cancer was just stage 1 or 2, was very beginning of the stage. But I'm just guessing that this was actually due to stress, because he had so much. He was a rich man. He had so many. He was in this beautiful vegan community in Hawaii. So many people loved him. It was just that he wasn't able to understand or feel that love, or yeah, he was just always scared. And I do think that stress was what he well, stress was the cause of his death. And this is a bit personal and sensitive topic, because of course I was with him for some period of time, and I also don't know the whole story. But
Yeah, I'm so sorry that that happened to him, and that he went through all that fear. And what this makes me think of, and I bring this up a lot, but I just want to show people, because I think this is really important. When we talk about fear and love, this is what actually creates the human. As much as we think it's the food and the muscles and the proteins and the fats and the carbohydrates, and we can talk about this till the cows come home, or the veggies come home, however we want to say it. I want to share this. Share, and I'll bring it up. I don't know if you guys can see this, but let me bring it up onto the screen. So this is Dr. Emoto. You've met Dr. Emoto, right?
Yeah, I have. I've met him a few times here in Japan, Tokyo.
Yeah, I would like that. To me is just, well, I'm coming over to Tokyo, I'm coming over to Japan. So can you see this one here, this picture?
Yeah.
Well, so you've got the love, the thank you, and the hate. Let me see if I can bring up this picture. No, they want me to sign up. Oh, maybe here. So there's a better, I'm not sure what this blog is, but so the idea is, anyone listening, so I say this a lot, Dr. Emoto got 2 bottles of water, and he said words like love, beauty, gifting, amazing to one water bottle. And you can see love and thank you here. Okay. And then to another water bottle, he said, I hate you, you're bad, and said all horrible things. Put them in the freezer, and then pulled them out the next day and put them under the microscope. And so the resulting crystals, and remember, we're 70 to 80% water, looked beautiful. Like, we're attracted to it. They're resonating with the laws of like sacred geometry here, which is almost out of our consciousness. We can't completely understand it, but we know we want to be it and attracted to it. And when the I hate you or the bad words look like disease, like literally different shapes of disease, depending on the words that were said, different shapes of diseases. Some of them like look like cancer, mold, all sorts of things. And I just want, whatever we do in life, we need to become those beautiful love crystals. Like, we can't become the fear and disease. And I feel like it's so, the raw food is that gateway of like feeling good and being good and feeling our best self. It's not feeling
Yeah, I wish there's one magic, one thing that you can do, and it can work for everyone.
But that would take away what the point of life is. Like, the whole point of life is that self-discovery, right? If there was one book for everyone when they landed on Earth, everyone would be exactly the same, doing the same thing.
That's true.
We're all splinters of a consciousness, and we are expressing ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, great point, Skye. But I just know a few of my friends are going through a very tough time, and they have a hard time coming out of their darkness. And this man, my ex, he was a very lovely man, loved by so many people. He just didn't feel love in himself. And what a loss, because he was he was doing such a great thing in his community, and he's greatly missed by so many people. And I just feel like
But
what
you
a
have to understand that how I see life is darkness is my greatest conquest, which the only reason I can do what I do now is because of my darkness. I believe each soul has many, you can call them different lives, but different frequencies of reality. And on this frequency, just like every other soul, we all knew what we were coming here for. And it's like you could call it like a ripple effect. But what the soul learns, if the soul passes in turmoil, it will still work on that. This is how I see it. So I sit in a space of love. Otherwise, you can literally open the news, you can talk about other people, but that's also a distraction from ourselves. We need to remember that there's many people that are suffering, but if we can be that light for them, because you can't hand someone a book. Even if there was a book, there probably is a book. There's probably 10 books, but the person has to work through their own resolve. And I know
Yeah.
Dr. Morse has said, you can go and eat fruit. He's done the 2 years. I'm confused whether it was 6 months or 2 years eating the navel oranges, and you're in God's realm. But when you come back down, everything is categorized. So we like self-destruct ourselves. So what we're actually looking at is people, in essence, self-destructing themselves. And if we start getting pulled into their riptide, we then start preaching their word. Like with this podcast, I want to be so clear that I want people to know that there's two sides of this so that they think about it. But I don't want anyone to sit in like fear about it. I just want people to know that there's a reality of this diet, that you're going to have ups and downs. And the more you can sit in love, the better you'll do. Even if you're sitting in love eating cooked food, I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. You be proud of you. Don't, whatever you do, feel so much love for, and find a way. Like if you're eating cooked food, that's still sustainable, right? I'm talking about things here that you get yourself into situations where I don't believe it's still love, where you can't sustain it. It's you got to keep going, got to keep pushing. But I never want people to feel like the world is doom, everything's doom.
Yeah.
Like there is so much love, and we're here to
True.
help you find your love.
Yeah, that's true. So well said. It's so well said, and I do agree with what you said about yeah, darkness is what makes this, it makes us, right. Darkness is where we find our true self, on which
Yeah.
direction you want to take. And I do agree with I said that I wish there's one magic word for everyone, because sometimes I just want to help someone, but it's not me helping this person. A lot of people come to me and ask whatever they're going through, and it's not me. I might inspire them to do certain things, but I'm not the one who's changing their lives. They have to find their own path,
Yes.
right?
And that's what inspires me to do what I do. I don't think I can change anybody's life by getting on a podcast or a YouTube video and going, you're eating wrong, you eat raw, you are bad. But I do believe I can change people's lives by looking after myself and even getting on camera and being a representation of what I've become, like that lifestyle, and be like, I'm happy. I'm going to throw a party. This is what I love to do. Can you see what I've made? And I don't want people to be like, you have to make this. Is by loving myself and finding the raw foods and the lifestyle that suits me, you too can come out of darkness. But look, I've never seen two people come out of darkness the same way. So actually I have self-love, but how you find that
Yeah.
is the key. And I do believe how you find that will dictate how you live it. So because I came into the raw foods in so much love and light and gratitude and sustainability, is I have very little fear. If I had forced myself into it, in something unsustainable, I'm always clinging to something unsustainable. And so that's why I work really hard with people to own wherever you're at on your journey. And even if you've taken a few steps forward and need to go back, as opposed to jumping all these levels of steps and then just falling all the way back down. Because, and also there's so much value in each step you take. Like even like when you first become raw and first time you go to a restaurant, it's so raw and you're not like anybody else. The lessons I learn in that space, it's not poor me, I can't do this, I can't do that. It's like, okay. And then also when you go to restaurants, people are like, why are you so well now? Why are you able to be so bright? And even in photos, my eyes are like bright blue. And they're like, maybe I need what she's having. Like we're literally walking representations of what we do. So there is like, that's how I don't think ever I can change somebody by making it YouTube. And I don't want to, because then somebody does it because I said it, and I don't, that resonance is someone hasn't found that conviction to do it because they've discovered that carrots or peaches or something makes them feel good. Like it's like that journey.
Yeah, exactly. And this, dangers of raw food diet. We talked about detox on so many different ways, on water fast or juice feasting or whatever. And I definitely gone through back and forth of,
Sorry, it's crazy. I can't believe, like, literally must be trees and branches like banging on. I don't think you can hear it because this stops the sound.
Yeah, I can't hear.
Yeah, no, it's literally like all of a sudden it's like bang, like it's crazy. I don't even think my washing line's still on the balcony. Sorry, guys.
Oh my God. Okay, so yeah, I was saying the danger of raw food diet, why we wanted to come up with this topic. Again, it's, people yo-yoing back and forth and back and forth. And I love the message of Lisa. She doesn't do juicing. And I'm not saying that, we are never saying that certain protocol is bad, but when you put it on this detox mode forever and you're never clean, this is again not coming from self-love, act of love, bringing using your passion as your guide. And it's one of the reason I stopped eating certain food. And it's not because I guess I stopped eating certain foods. It might not be, so toxic for my body, but I just don't want to go back on this yo-yoing back and forth and back and forth. I think before I used to think, oh, it's okay. I can, even if I eat this, I can just go on a, juice cleanse. And I hear this a lot in raw vegan community or people who came close to my life. It's like, oh, I'm just going to eat in the vegan restaurant because I'm visiting Kyoto from far away, and I don't know when I am coming back to Kyoto, so I'm gonna eat in the vegan restaurant, whatever, and I'm just gonna go on the juice fast. And I mean, everyone's go through the different journey, so I respect this person's journey, but I've decided that I don't want to go through that. So I am not touching certain food anymore, because I don't want to go through that detox mode again.
So also what people need to know about that sort of situation is that to me is easy versus going to a restaurant regularly and going, I need to make this sustainable. I know that you don't go to that restaurant often, but just say 4 times a year you've got Mother's Day, Father's Day, and a couple birthdays that you've got to attend. The work on yourself is done when you do something sustainable. It's not, I'm going to eat vegan today and juice tomorrow. That's easy. That's like an escape. The hard work is, how do I make this sustainable for myself? And what lessons do I learn from doing this? And a lot of it is, for me, is like, okay, I bring my own dressing and I order a salad. Fair enough. A couple of times you might be like, oh, I've just got to get those cooked veggies. Own it. Don't be like, it's only a couple of times a year. This is no different from creating a normal reality lifestyle. And that's what I've done with my raw diet. Is like last night I usually finish eating each day by like 3 or 4 o'clock. Even to me, that seems late because in winter I go to bed quite early. Last night I'm up at like 9 o'clock having a whole plate of dehydrated food, including like chocolate, which I don't usually do, but that is normal. Like, as in, like, I wanted to create a lifestyle when I went raw, which was normal, just raw, so I could live. So, you know, there's people who might be up on a weeknight having wine and cheeses at restaurants, and I don't want to go that extravagant. So maybe a couple times a year I'm having dehydrated food later than I should. I'm not going to then go, I need to juice for a week to get over it. If that's not sustainable for me, maybe next time I'll have lighter foods at night. Maybe I'll do a smoothie and maybe one gourmet treat. But I'm learning. And I can't
Yeah.
learn if every time I do it, I'm like, no, I'll just fix this with a juice cleanse and I feel like crap. Like I constantly, because how we vibrate is how we constantly feel. So you're better to just give
Yeah.
yourself lessons. But back to the restaurant situation is there's value and life lessons in finding something sustainable that is, and as I said, if you need to order a side of veggies 4 times a year, think, is this okay in this realm? Will I feel like I'm coming from lack if I never do something again?
Yeah. And I
That's
think it
important.
goes, yeah, I think it goes back to self-love and being conscious.
Yes.
Like, you know, if I go to, I mean, I go to restaurant quite often with my client, and I always bring my food, and I'm
Yeah.
looking at, you know, sometimes my clients decide to go to vegan restaurant that looks very clean. And like the other day they were ordering, they had like tofu, it looks like, yeah, tofu dish. It looks really clean. And I'm looking at it and thinking, um, I mean, they offered me to eat it, and do I really want to eat it? Like, for me, it's so much more. Like, I prefer eating my own food that I prepared myself, and I know, you know, where it comes from, and you know, I do everything from scratch. So to me, the self love is eating my food. You know, it could,
Yes.
yeah, it's not punishment. Oh, because I would get some kind of allergy reaction. No, I probably not. I would probably not have allergy reaction. It's just, do I really want to eat that? You know, being conscious on what I'm eating is so
Yeah.
important.
And a lot of what we spend our life doing is being unconscious because it's just been too painful. So we default
Mm,
back to that where I'll be numb and unconscious and eat a meal, like absolutely slam myself, and then I'll slam
mm.
myself with juice, and you're not actually there and conscious. And that's why I believe it's harder to
That I
find
heard.
that. It's crazy. It's harder to find that sustainability, that like sit in that space. But also, can I be honest, since going raw, I've never been at a restaurant where I've thought their food is actually nicer than mine, except Mandala restaurant in Kauai,
Oh
which is a raw
yeah, I
vegan
saw
restaurant.
that.
That it was on another level. But every other restaurant I've been to, I prefer my own food. So
Yeah, exactly. You know, I always bring the same kind of thing, like with my chia, cacao perfect that's
yes,
in my book, and also walnut pate with Lisa's hand wrap. That's definitely my go-to when I have an all day work, and my clients always say, "Oh my God, where did you get that?" I say, "I've
yes,
never seen something
yeah,
so vibrant, and like
yes.
it looks so good. Where can we get it?" And they're so jealous of me, you know, eating that than their, you know, expensive lunch that they ordered.
I find that too, is like everyone's like, it's so bright. What is it? Can I try that? And they're so, and then that to me is the change I'm making in the world,
Mm,
to be honest, is the
yeah.
things that I do that naturally just float off who I am and what I'm becoming. No hard work is ever not rewarded. And so the
Mm,
greatest rewards I think I've ever found are not from consciously trying to force another into something. Actually, I
mm,
don't think anything good ever comes of that. It's like that. Is it a Chinese proverb where it's like that pendulum? And if you push, eventually it'll come back. You've
yeah.
got to like naturally get into emotion. You can't like
Mm,
force anything.
mm,
There's no, it just
yeah.
eventually, oh no, sorry, if you push onto something, you'll push it away. You need to get into the swing of things. I don't know exactly how it goes, but it made sense when I saw it. You've got to find your flow. You've got to find your love. Resonate with all the words like that lift you. Like when you look at a food, all the words that come to mind are like good. And there's no like, oh, I'll pay for that tomorrow. I need to do a juice cleanse. This shouldn't be doing this. You want to have it and be like, I feel good. That looks good. Okay, it's a bit different. And today I'll have to push on a bit because I did want that, but I will feel good. And it lifts you before you eat it. That's how I always knew the food was good. You lift it.
Yeah. And then the important message that I've been sharing recently is that every step, every part of your body, or every part of your journey is beautiful. Even if you used to blame yourself, or if you ate junk food that you were not proud of, all of that is such a beautiful journey. You should, this should be, it's so unique. No one has gone through your journey, right? And I used to punish myself a lot in the past, that I've been on a high raw vegan diet, but there are certain times that I'm not proud of what I have done, and I used to kind of hide it. And it's actually Skye that brought the light in my life. Yeah, it's true that it's okay. It's so beautiful. Every part of my journey is so beautiful. Now I can say that, and there's nothing I want to hide in my journey. And I used to think that I own it, but when I met you, you definitely guide me through this light that it's okay. We have this up and down, and that's why we have this podcast of ups and downs of raw, right?
I love that. I love that so much. That's like where you're not even conscious of it, but you can actually see. It's okay. To be honest and fair, is anytime I've shared my downs, I've helped more people than I think I have when I've shared my ups. And that's where the podcast came from, right? Is because influencers are like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and this is amazing. Where the reality is most people are going through ups and downs. And I truly, the first 2 years, but also I lost a lot of my memory, were like just a breeze. And then when I hit bumps where I get shingles and I'm needing iron infusions, and sharing it is bringing topics to light, but also people are like, I never addressed my iron. I thought I would be fine. It's like having not enough oxygen in the body. And they're like, I'm going to go check this out. And I started to notice it doesn't change, because I feel like it's not fair for me to share my good if I don't share all of me. I just share all of me. But in fact, sharing my down birthed this podcast. It helped you. I know many people that have messaged me that lives have changed from me sharing it. It's because I sit in truth. If you can sit in truth, and you don't have to do it on social media. I think I just was so inspired because my story was so dramatic. But when I came out of it, is as long as I sat in truth, I always feel safe. So even if you feel vulnerable just say on social media, and people like, you shouldn't be saying that, that's not true. It is true. I'm not trying to convince anyone. I'm just sharing my story. And you can't feel bad because you can't change it. That is what it is. And then I'm usually moving on to the next part of my journey. But when you sit in truth, and truth sits with love, like all those beautiful words, we should do a podcast on those words. Like, what are those beautiful words where we know we're on the right path? Like when we're saying words like thank you and please and I love you, and you're like, because I think that's that compass, that love compass. So I was just going to bring this up.
The comments, yeah.
It's like just banging. I like this. So Tara Brock's phrase is, what we resist persists. It does. It's like they say to people, if you're trying to lose weight, people then stop trying to lose weight and end up losing weight, because it's that constant like thinking of food and trying to regulate that makes someone always think of food and not get to their goal, like that self-destructive pattern. So it's not easy. And that's why, as much as we think we're trying to force almost like this pain through doing like a detox process, is the work, that the lessons, the ups, the downs, it all comes from working on yourself every day exactly where you're at, you know?
Mm.
So, oh, that's so nice. We love you, Apple.
Oh, so nice, Apple. Thank you.
So,
Mm.
yeah. So was there anything we didn't cover?
Um, I think we're good. Yeah, we've covered dangers of raw food diet in a nutshell.
It's like the only danger in the raw food diet is not loving yourself, like coming away
Mm,
from that compass. And we're trying to guide everyone back to loving yourself is when you have the ups and downs. You know,
yeah.
when that's the lesson. There's no, Ed Sheeran says there's no lesson learned in winning a Grammy. He learns it when he
Mm,
loses business partners. He loses deals when he
mm.
had a lisp as a child and needed to learn music and became. I was about to say hi, Tessa. I was going to say, what is
Tessa!
alive without Tessa? Hey,
Yeah.
Tessa, we love you, Tessa. Um, yeah, like the
Yeah.
lessons, we have to go down, grab a lesson, and then we go back up.
Mm,
And even like yogis and stuff say the reason we can't stay elevated and in like
mm,
just fruit on an island is because we go up, we get lessons, and then we come back down. So that's why,
mm,
but you don't want to go too far up because then people seem to fall far back down. We want to do
mm,
little like bobbing.
Yeah. Yeah, I want everyone to know that your journey is beautiful. I love learning everyone's journey, whether it's raw or not. It's so interesting. There's so many people on this earth, and every single person has a different journey. I always find it so interesting and fascinating to learn everyone's journey, and no story should be hidden.
I think
Love you.
everyone needs to love you. Love
That's
you. I think
yes.
that's
The
the motto,
ending
like
note. Love
love you.
you.
If I want anyone, it's not even raw food. It's not raw food is just the gateway, I think. I
Hmm.
never knew any love until I was on raw food. And that's what I was talking to Olivia about. I didn't talk about it too much in the podcast, but how I saw one of her videos and we got into a conversation in the chat about how, because she has cooked foods now. And I think once you've been on raw foods, and you found like happiness and yourself, is then you've got a great perspective as to what you want to add back. But there's just such great value in finding you, loving you.
You said you never knew love before raw food.
Yeah, never knew love, never knew self-love. Everything I did was just stimulation. I could say it's
Interesting.
love, but to me it always ended up self-destructive. Like
Mm,
every relationship or something ended up, what I know as love never came from self-love. It came from wanting to gain something from what I think is out there.
mm,
And then once I got into the raw foods, I started to go, I love you. You love sunlight. I love you. You love good food. I started to say, I love you, Skye, all the time, not from a
mm,
narcissistic point of view, but from a point where like, I'm alive. I've got this far. And I've never done that. Everything else was like a stimulated distraction from what I was doing. So I need a boyfriend. I need a fancy
mm,
bag. I need like I need, and it's not because
mm,
I actually need it. It's because it's kind of like numbing the crap that I had going on. But
mm,
that's why I call it the gateway. And people get
mm,
stuck going back to the gateway. Like the gateway gets you like finding self-love and it
mm,
lets you see the world with a clear lens. But then you get to live in
mm,
this beautiful reality. Like the reality on raw food
mm.
for me is like top tier.
Yeah, I do think the paradise is here on this earth. I
Yes,
truly believe that. Yeah.
I believe it's like right there. Like if I was to go, and because we still live in fear, I think I can't do it. I think I
Mm,
can't stop everything I'm doing and just go to Thailand and live on a beach and eat even fruit off a beach. But you'd be surprised how life accommodates when you actually, just from being at rock bottom in places where I've like slept outside, I've had no connection to family, and you don't know how you're going to survive. I'd never actually lived in that, not knowing how you are going to survive a night.
mm,
And you watch people just turn up and give you a
mm,
bit of food or give you a bit of money, and you eat raw foods. I think you'd be taking that to a whole new level. But you'd be surprised
mm.
where people are like, Skye, how did you survive not like kill yourself? I mean, that sounds very dramatic, but I get asked that a lot. And you'd just be surprised that when you're at rock bottom, you're never alone. You like
Yeah.
when you actually are never alone, whether it's a little animal would come past, but usually it's human. Usually a human will just come from nowhere.
Mm. I love that you changed the title to Love You. Love
I think
yourself.
everything should be love. And see, even the vibration is now much higher because we're sitting in a space of love.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's that's a beautiful message to end with. And
Yay.
yeah, thank you. And Tessa said going raw helped shift my focus as well. That's a yeah. That's it. You know, there's so many ways to look at certain things, and I do believe that being a raw vegan, or you know, just like Skye was saying, that it just opened my gateway, and there I was able to see something in so many different ways, and
Yeah.
I just choose to see it in certain ways. I might see the whole thing, you know, black and white and different colors, and certain time I just decided to see pink color in my life, and I just focus on that.
Yeah. I'm also so honored that like I'm doing like lives most days and I'm surrounded by beautiful people like Kiko and Marabella and who else? There's just so many people that are around me, but also like, you know, Jen, you've got Tessa, you've got Apple. Just because you're not on the screen doesn't mean that you aren't a huge part of my life now,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because a lot of my life is online. And I'm very grateful for that. And I think
Yeah.
beautiful
Mm-hmm.
things can come from that. It's you just got to start, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am so grateful, definitely for Skye, for allowing me to be part of this podcast, and also Tessa and Apple. You know, JJ also. You know, there you guys are always, uh, you know, so close to me, to my heart, and you know, your message means so much to me, because this Hannah Henning.
That's actually, I like seeing that, Hannah, as in like, this is, to be honest, this is a really good way of, because this person, Hannah, hasn't said, I am now a raw vegan. She's gone, I did carnivore and I'm like called to eat more fruit. And that's how I went raw, is it wasn't exactly I knew what I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
but I could feel my body respond. And if you can feel that, you can trust that and let it guide you. When we start going, I'm now a raw vegan, I'm now a fruitarian, I'm now this, I'm now that,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
is you get yourself stuck in a box and you think, I can't have
Mm-hmm.
sweet potato, I can't have rice, I can't, you know, and where you might do some fruit, and then you might, as you're transitioning, you might have, I don't know, rice, or you might go back to meat, and then you're like, that doesn't feel as good. But you have to, it's your journey. We're not here to
Mm-hmm.
go, you do this. We're here to be like, this changed my life. And they're like, I'm feeling that. I'm feeling
Mm-hmm.
it. So, yay.
Yay! It's so important to be part of this positive, vibrant community.
It is. So it's been wonderful. We'll be back next week. Please message us anytime or let us know any topics you want us to talk on. But usually something comes up and we're like, we've got to talk about this.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Kiko. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.